today. It's a very important event because it opens scenarios that go beyond the traditional engine. So I believe we can welcome them one after the other, our hosts in this event. These hosts are specialized in helping startup companies, not only in the automotive sector, but also in the automotive sector, become great thanks to knowledge, thanks to money, of course, and thanks to a good foresight of a future that is international, that is global, that can go everywhere and bring the company everywhere. So let me welcome Sarah Walling, CEO of Chalmers Venture Sweden. Hello, Sarah.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Then we have Sasha Karimpour, Vice President for that region of Plug and Play. The company is from Germany, but is actually in France for a little holiday, so even more international. Good morning, Sasha.
Great that I can be in the round.
And we are happy to have you here. Then, as a host, Modena's own Marco Baracchi, General Manager of the newborn Motor Valley Accelerator, MVA. It's an initiative that was born out of the efforts of CDP, Modena Foundation, and UniCredit Bank. It's a very, very new experience, so he's going to be the most accurate listener to the experiences of the others. Good morning, Marco.
Good morning, Fabrizio, thank you very much.
And very soon we're going to have also George Panagiotakopoulos. He's the Director of Global Innovation and Partnerships for University of California, Berkeley, and their accelerator called Skydeck. So we're going to have to talk about disruptive innovation in the automotive sector, which means not exactly the kind of innovation we are going to expect. For example, a more powerful engine, a more efficient engine, a more efficient stereo system on the car, but also things that it's very difficult to imagine right now. And that is why I would love to start with Sarah Walling with Chalmers Venture, because I went around your website and I found out that your companies, the 80 plus companies you helped through the years, do very, very different things. I found more things about horses, for example, saddles and safety devices for horse riders, than for cars in a strict sense. Can you help us understand what kind of disruptive experience you had with mobility in general?
Yeah, so I think that I really have one of Sweden's most important missions to lead an organization with a vision to be a world leader in creating and developing research and knowledge-based growth companies that contributes to sustainable society. So in December 2020, I started as CEO at Chalmers Ventures, and before that I financed thousands of Swedish growth companies as CEO of a governmental venture capital organization. And I've also been on the entrepreneurial side of the table in telecom and ed tech companies. And in addition to my CEO assignment, I work as a board member at Gothenburg University, the Swedish Agency for Economic and Regional Growth, for example. So I'm involved both in Chalmers Ventures and can talk about the experiences from my operational role, but also from my board assignments. And Chalmers Ventures work with ideas with commercial potential. And we offer a variety of entrepreneurial programs that develop your business to a successful business. From start, we make small investments in returns for small stakes in the company, and thereby securing a long-term partnership and a common goal. And we are ranked as number 1 Nordics and top 10 university incubator in the world. And Chalmers Ventures invests in innovative tech startups with a scalable potential on the international market and entrepreneurial teams. And we are really Sweden's most active tech investor in early stages. So I see a lot of innovative ideas, just as you said, in automotive, but also in a wide range of sectors. And we offer different programs. I can mention two of them here today. A tech transfer program. It's for researchers who wants to take an active role in building up a company. And then we finance patent applications and give expert advice and support you as a partner in commercialization of existing early stage research. And together we explore questions around ownership, patent IP, customers and agreements. And the outcome of going into this process with us is usually a startup company or a licensing agreement. And through our tech matching program, we can help commercialize your tech ID by matching it with entrepreneurs. So the tech can stem from innovative research, product development, or be outside our industry partners' core business. And the tech ID is then matched with a team of entrepreneurs from Chalmers School of Entrepreneurship. And it's really the master's students in industrial economic who their master year start as company together with the researchers. And through close collaboration, the innovator and the team evaluate the feasibility for the tech to turn into a venture. And in case of positive outlook, your tech ID is incorporated with the possibility to get accepted into our Chalmers Ventures award-winning accelerator and get a pre-seed investment. So that's where our deal flow comes from mostly. Okay. And we start about 15 companies every year together with researchers and entrepreneurs, and have 80 fantastic tech companies in our portfolio right now. And I can just mention two of them. That's Automotive, Radchat, who offers a completely new approach to vehicle communications by adding communication capabilities to radar chips. They can proactively delete radar interference and enhance radar functionalities and open up new possibilities within data sharing. And another example is Omen Technologies. It's a cyber security startup that helps the automotive industry to stay connected and protected by an AI-driven security analysis platform that monitors and detects cyber attacks on connected vehicles in real time. And Omen's solution is actually locally in the vehicle, which makes it extremely effective and sustainable, as it eliminates the needs to transmit tons of encrypted data for security analysis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have just noticed recently that the latest Volvo commercial for cars tells about Volvo that the car is more smart, it's smarter than a smartphone, rather than talking about the peak speed or the consumption of fuel. So it's like the car is sold like a device, like an iPad, an iPod, a computer. Is that the frontier? To have a car that is more livable than effective on the street?
Yeah, it's amazing, and I think that the research right now is exploding when it comes to smart vehicles, but also I can just mention a breakthrough from researchers from Chalmers University. Right now, they have produced a structural battery that performs 10 times better than all previous versions. It contains carbon fiber that serves simultaneously as an electrode, conductor, and load-bearing material. And their latest research breakthrough paves the way for essentially massless energy storage in vehicles and other technology. So I think that it's so much amazing things going on right now, and research that will disrupt automotive industry, but also all kinds of industries.
Okay, we'll be back with you, Sarah, in a few minutes. Then now I'm going to ask Sasha Karimpour from Plug and Play Germany. to explain to us what he had in mind, but also to make you already a specific questions. I've read about your will to create specific platforms for every single sector of entrepreneurship. Like you're not just trying to find a common solution to help all the startup companies, but to be more specific, but to be very specific in helping a single sector, like you already have the knowledge necessary to enter in that sector. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct, Fabrizio. So for the ones who don't know Plug and Play, we are based in Silicon Valley, one of the, I think, oldest not investors, but oldest open innovation platforms based in Silicon Valley, and now with over 30 locations worldwide and running, like you say, 15 we call them verticals, so industry-specific programs, where we bring in corporations and startups on specific topics. And since we are talking about mobility here at Motor Valley, one of our most successful programs is located in Stuttgart in Germany. It's called Startup Autobahn. We started this program about 5.5 years ago, and very interesting to hear, like we see the need for bringing startups and together with industry in Modena. 5 years ago, it was awareness in Germany by the company Daimler, who said, hey, there's so many technologies developing all over the world, and we have also offices all over the world and scouts all over the world who are looking at these new technologies. We realize that we can't work like we used to, invent all the R&D in-house or co-develop them with industry partners or engineering companies. They said, we will have to work with startups as technologies are developing faster than we can develop them ourselves, and to a width that we can cover all. So the problem was that as much as they got in touch with startups, there were not many results coming out of it at the end. And that's if you look at startups, they have totally different look at technologies, and they have a different mindset than engineers who have been working for 15, 20, 25 years at some of the large OEMs or T1s around. So the challenge was how can we find the best startups from all over the world, matching to the tech interest of our partners. And back then it was Daimler alone. Now it's about 30 partners at the Startup Autobahn platform across the value chain of automotive. And then how do we get to results? Meaning, how can we test these technologies fast? And how can we possibly implement them? And again, now we are 5 years later. We are 30 partners on the platform, but also we had close to 300 startups going through our programs. And all the startups who are going through our program have been pre-selected by the engineers of our partners. So there's a sense of ownership which have been developed. We have created a very in-depth curated program, not to waste time on the industry side or waste time on the startup side. So I'm really trying to have an efficient collaboration going on. And with close to 300 startups, about 400 POCs were performed so far. And I can say about a third of these POCs have been implemented or are going into implementation. And that's something which is really special. Then again, this program, it's mostly targeted at later stage companies. And, at the end, it's not just, finding the best startups worldwide and then connecting them, but it's also you want to make your region keep it strong when it was a leading region in mobility, for example. So, so if I go a little bit deeper, we try also to connect the universities. We try to connect investors. We try to help local startups with mentoring, with doing branding, with doing financials, with doing the right legal advice, etc. So end of the day, you have to create an ecosystem where people work with each other. At Plug and Play, what we're doing special is, again, we're internationally based in a lot of locations. So we bring in a lot of expertise from all over the world, and with that, kind of setting the standard for the local ecosystem, and and at the same time making sure that industry is being helped best possible with the new technologies.
Okay. Sasha, I'll be back for a question for you, because you've mentioned Stuttgart and Modena, which are usually two territories in very big competition about a certain level of cars. But I also want to welcome with us George Panagiotakopoulos. I hope I have pronounced it correctly. Maybe you will confirm, maybe not. Can you hear me, George?
I can hear you. It was perfect.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a good start. He's the Director of Global Innovation and Partnership at the University of California at Berkeley, and he will tell us about the Skydeck Accelerator. We are keeping the Italian panelist for last because the accelerator is newborn in Modena, so they want to steal ideas from you and listen to what you have already done. And when I checked your website, I did the same with all the accelerators. We found out that your partners are particularly happy about how close they felt you were during their paths. You want to tell us something about that, and specifically in automotive or mobility?
Of course. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to try and keep this as informative for you as possible, and to convey some learnings that I've had. Skydeck Accelerator, part of the university, a lot of resources, a lot of startups accelerated, great programs, all that stuff. Let's take that for granted. More specifically, your kind of question on the prompt was to highlight and compare, I think, some activities for technological startups in the automotive sector, and some of my experiences and some things we do that kind of really help move the needle forward, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me try and again be as informative to you as possible. The biggest challenge is that, again, pertaining to automotive, is that there seems to be a gap of how startups offer their technology and how the auto industry is used to receiving it. The auto industry is used to suppliers coming and saying, here's what you currently have or use. Here's an improvement that we've made on it. This is why ours is better. Very simple. It's comprehensive, easy to adopt, can get buy-in, and it moves forward extremely quickly. However, startups will come and say, here's some amazing technology. Can you implement it, use it in your production processes or automobiles or what have you? And the auto companies are sitting there saying, okay, I don't know what to really do with this. And it has to go through a very long process of stakeholders and figuring out, if anything, what can be done with the technology. So one of two things needs to happen to bridge this gap. Auto companies either need to share their current specs or performance metrics that their current parts or production processes have, so startups can build the business case to better pitch their tech to the companies, or companies need to put out specific asks, such as, we're interested in technology that will, reduce the energy consumption around magnetic dampers and increase the lifespan through material science tech. That way, startups can achieve, and they can say startups can achieve these specific metrics: reduction in energy consumption by at least 6%, and increase in, lifespan or sustainability of the materials used by, X, Y, Z. And startups that achieve this will be granted this pilot opportunity. This specific thing will help bridge that gap. And what we've done is we've started working with our partners to acquire the specific tech needs and interests, along with metrics for success, to help our startups better make the business case for the adoption of their technology. Because the gap is in communication. Startups have awesome tech. Auto companies need awesome tech. But how are they going to kind of meld it together? And what we're doing is we're bridging that gap. And, a lot of this information is not proprietary. I can go get parts for a Maserati tomorrow and run all tests on them and get all the specs. It's not hard. And finally, and rather a second point, many startups are industry agnostic, but they're passionate about, let's say, data analytics, okay? And they have amazing and advanced technology around it that can be applied to a multitude of areas. They will gravitate towards wherever the opportunity is. So if they think that working, in the e-commerce sector and building a startup around that is where the greatest willingness is for major companies to invest in, this is what they will cater their technology to, just as an example. So if the automotive and mobility industry showed a greater interest in adopting technology around, again, let's say, for example, data analytics, the startups will start adapting and tailoring their technology towards the automotive industry, even if the market is smaller. So this has a lot to do with the previous point I made around that communication gap. And one thing that we're doing is, again, we're working with our partners to help them be more expressive on their interests and market themselves as innovation companies, and have them create just as much of a pull as we are doing a push. And that helps create far greater fluidity.
Okay, I'm going to take this assist you offer me to involve Marco Baracchi in the conversation, because like I told you, Modena's own Motor Valley Accelerator is newborn, and in a territory like Modena, where we've had excellence in engines and in automotive and in cars for 90 years almost, right now, the people usually talk together and used to communicate in dialetto, which is our local language. But right now, the world has become all of a sudden much greater, and you need to help the people from Modena who maybe have a small business that does small but incredible things go into the world. And I think that is part of the things you're going to have to do from Modena, from the Motor Valley, to bring these little companies, these new companies, far from Modena.
Yes, thank you very much, Fabrizio. I gave you some information more about our goals, because as you said, we are just born this year. So this is the Motor Valley Accelerator is an accelerator for startup in the specific sector of automotive and mobility. So we look only for startups in automotive and mobility. And our purpose is to help the development and the growth of new Italian companies in this sector, so automotive and mobility. So as you all know, Italy is behind many other industrialized countries regarding the number of successful startups and the amount of capital invested in technological startups. So this is a new initiative to begin to fill this gap. We have important investors with us. We have Cassa Depositi e Prestiti, Unicredit, and Fondazione di Modena. They will invest 20 million euros in the next years in mobility startups, thanks to the Motor Valley Accelerator. So each year we look for the best Italian startups, or also foreign startups that are willing to move their headquarters to Italy. And this year, and we have only a few months of life, we have got in touch with 150 startups interested in our program. And tomorrow, inside the Motor Valley Fest, we will present the first 8 startups to our corporate partners. These startups have been selected to receive capital and to enter in our accelerator program. That is 5 months of services to improve products, business model, and learn the best strategies from top mentors and speakers. So the startups will attend to practical workshops in product development, growth, intellectual property protection, and they will learn how to scale their business, get more funding, and address key business challenges. The accelerator startups will present their products to top automotive and mobility companies, that are the companies of the Motor Valley, to get feedback and work together to develop a proof of concept. They will also have the opportunity to meet with venture capital, angel investor, successful entrepreneurs, and industry experts. The best startups of the batch get the chance to receive a follow-on investment after these 5 months of €500,000 each. So at the end of the program, the best 2 or 3 will receive €500,000. The Motor Valley Accelerator is placed in Modena. That is the heart of the Motor Valley. As you all know, I think, is a place of excellent companies, in particular in motorsport and high-performance vehicle sectors that are very interested in innovation and industrial research. It's also the place of important university. Not only the University of Modena and Reggio Emilia, that is one of the best in the world for automotive, but also MUNER, that is the Motor Vehicle University of Emilia-Romagna. And we want to be the Italian accelerator for automotive and mobility. The Motor Valley Accelerator will also have the corporate partners that are the most important Italian companies in this sector to boost their innovation with another service. We will do the scouting of the best international scale-up in the specific area of interest. In this case, we will not invest in this international scale-up, and we will not offer them accelerator services because they probably don't need these services. But we will connect corporates and scale-ups, and we will help them to develop pilots. So the Motor Valley Accelerator is managed by CRIT. We have been chosen by the investors thanks to our technical competence and to our 20 years experience in working with industrial companies. And together with Plug and Play, one of the best startup platforms of the world, they are expert in startup acceleration, in particular in the automotive sector, as Sasha has just told you regarding Startup Autobahn in Stuttgart.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to Sasha to start a quick round of questions because I had one that I was holding for a while. We have talked about Modena and Stuttgart. And what I'm asking you is, the startup companies of these 2 great cities of motorsports and automotive are stealing or trying to steal each other knowledge, brains, and also trying to attract them to their own territories because they're afraid that the rival will take them for them.
So first of all, 5 years ago, when we arrived in Stuttgart, there was, we called it Startup Desert. You know, it's not like Silicon Valley, it's not like Berlin or even Munich, you know, which is about 2.5 hours away. You know, they have an ecosystem there. And there is startups there. Yes, startups are always, of course, competitive, and there's always numerous startups who are looking at similar technologies and developing similar technologies. That's normal. You know, I think you have to bring a region on the map for startups, and that is not so easy. And we think what we did in Stuttgart was successful. At least startups from Israel, for example, who before never heard of Stuttgart, now they 3 startups, they actually built their HQ there or opened up an office there. You know, other startups, when they hear of the word Startup Autobahn in Stuttgart, they're coming, no questions asked, and that's not normal, you know, for great startups. If you really have a phenomenal startup, then these startups can choose who they like to work with or where they like to be based. You know, so it's really about building a great ecosystem for for your startups, provide them with a lot of help. So, from the plug and play side, of course, love to copy our experience, what we gained in Stuttgart, but also, for example, in Japan or Silicon Valley or Detroit, where we all have mobility hubs, and bring this know-how in to Modena and help also the young ones with mentoring, how to do an NDA, on how to write a business plan, how to do a term sheet, etc. And also, I like to mention. George, earlier you mentioned, it's all about bridging the gap between the startup and the corporate, and I 100% agree with you. What we experience, however, with these traditional OEMs and traditional tier one suppliers is that the engineers they have this mindset of, hey, not invented here. So you can transfer the best information back and forth. If the engineers are not excited to work with the startups, and they say, why, I can build it in-house. If they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. Doesn't matter how good the information is you shoot back and forth at the end. This our, I think, opinion. And for that, we call it the cultural mindset change. I think it's really, really important to build that up in these individual local ecosystems. And we do that by, of course, doing a lot of events, but events which are focused. And we bring together really people who have the same focus and kind of trying to build a bridge by, for example, in Stuttgart, if a Daimler engineer is looking at a new technology and the Porsche engineer previously maybe said, hey, we can do this better in-house, or we don't need this, all of a sudden the Porsche engineer says, hey, if Daimler is looking at it, maybe this is something worth it looking at it too.
Yeah, sure.
And then later on, it's funny, this happens. Later on, Porsche has a pilot project with that startup, and Daimler doesn't. So it's I think really bringing people together who have the same interest, looking at technologies together. In a pre-competitive stage, of course, and with that building up a lot of excitement and momentum to actually having this mindset of making tests happen. So that's what we are trying to do.
Okay. Sarah Wallin, I have the most difficult question of the whole panel for you, and the most interesting for our colleagues in Modena that are just starting. You must help us you must give us a suggestion to how to spot a promising startup company, and how to recognize a good accelerator. What is a quality that an accelerator must have to help a startup company? And what is a good quality a startup company must have to be taken seriously by the accelerator?
Mm-hmm. So what are we looking for? It's true that the best technology doesn't always win when it comes to commercialization. There's a lot of luck involved, I think, and startups succeed or fail for a host of reasons. Many factors, including the team, market timing, the problem being solved, and the route to market must all converge to create a chance of success. And there is also a big difference between a well-funded science project and a business. And it's critical that new technology solves real-world problems and doesn't spend too long time in the lab, but collaborate with industry and around real problems, I think. And I think the universities which are best of creating successful spin-outs are also those which puts customer discovery at the heart of their tech transfer operation. And that's what our coaches at Chalmers Ventures are really good at. So I think that's what you're looking for when you're looking for a good accelerator. And once you've proven where the commercial opportunity lies, companies can focus their time where it matters most and go to market sooner. Then it also becomes much easier to attract investment and attract talent. So we are looking for awesome teams, scientists and entrepreneurs, innovative tech ideas with the opportunity for IP, and sustainable and scalable ideas with growth potential. And I also think what makes Chalmers Ventures unique is that we got all these ingredients under one roof, with investments, with researchers, with students, and that we really start the companies together with the researchers and entrepreneurs and students, and then we go with them and we scale with them and we invest with them. So we are really on the same boat, I think, and we have this huge network with other accelerators and other investors, and we also put them together and as I said, we start 15 companies per year, but we also make exits in 15 companies per year. So I think we are like a fabric, startup fabric that is really effective.
Okay. George, when we started this meeting and a couple of minutes before you connected, we talked about the word disruptive innovation, which is kind of a problem in a territory like the Motor Valley, because the University of Modena Reggio Emilia and the Faculty of Engineering is named after Enzo Ferrari. And so for many years, all the innovation we had in mind was about performances, luxury, aerodynamics. And right now we are finding out that the world is very big, that we are investing on autonomous driving for cars or other paths, the hybrid engines. So we are finding those things almost unnatural for the nature of a territory that has always invested in fuel-powered big engines at high costs. So I want to ask you, first of all, what is the perception outside of Modena of where the automotive and mobility are going based on the startups that you've helped moving? And then how can one change his own vision, even if it's very strong and very precious, to go farther than they had thought previously?
Excellent question. Let's see. How much time do you have?
I don't. We have about 5 minutes, so we have to do your best.
Okay, so there. I don't want to lie to you. There isn't a single, golden answer. I speak with, dozens of companies a week, and there are a lot of trends. Okay, and I think that the most important thing is to realize, and this is what most companies are realizing, is that the pie is getting bigger. And the shift is, from like big, gas guzzling, V8s or whatever to electricity. That shift is happening at a very slow and marginal pace. The whole point is to focus on all the technology sectors, focus on internal combustion engines, focus on, battery technology and electrification, focus on sensors and autonomous driving. So I see startups that are maybe shifting towards efficiency projects and innovations around, like, again, data analytics, because they can actually implement AI and algorithms into, the computers of internal combustion engines to make them, distribute the ratios of gas and air better. But that same algorithm, they're also, I've seen, applying to battery technology and the distribution of energy across different batteries. Different battery components. So to answer your question very ambiguously, and I apologize, is that the pie is getting bigger. The distribution is shifting marginally and slowly, but the automotive companies are keeping an eye on everything because they want to have their finger in the pie of every single industry. And what we've noticed is that as long as we can help them communicate that's the most important thing. Startups will go in the direction that you inform them the opportunity is in. The thing that we do that kind of helps bring everything together is, we're an accelerator, but we're also a university. So we connect with, Berkeley College of Engineering and the Hall School of Business and, Berkeley, the Data Society. And we bring them together in like events and competitions and projects, and we bring startups and expose them to all those elements. And they start, changing their mindset as to where the opportunity is based on both, again, the pull and the push that we do. So we try to create a whole ecosystem to make them aware of everything.
Okay, thank you very much. Last question to Marco before we conclude this meeting. Modena has tried to develop a very specific knowledge in engines, but right now, hyper specialization, the fact that you know a small piece the best way possible is kind of something we have behind our backs. What you're looking for is people who have this vision that George, by the way, has just described, people that know the whole set that is necessary to have a clear vision of the future.
Yes, I totally agree with you. We do not only look for technologies, and as also Sarah said before, because we think that people is the first thing to look in a startup. So the team and the mindset and that they have. So we start from a territory, like as you said, where engines are also today really, really important. And I think they will not be at the end, because probably there will be also new fuels, synthetic fuels, so going always towards sustainability. But there will be batteries and electricity for some kinds of cars, even also for some sports cars, because you know that also Ferrari and Lamborghini are working on electric cars. But probably there will be also development of the traditional engines with, like an example, the new synthetic fuel. So there will be more, not only electric, there will be more than one possibility for the future. It's not so clear. The fact is to be curious and to look many roads that could have a successful one.
Okay, thank you very much, Marco. I believe we have completely exploited the time we had available for this meeting, which is one of the first doors to the Motor Valley Fest, which is going to take place also tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, a very special event that in its second year was forced to move only on the internet because of the pandemic, but has already gone back to the streets. 3,000 fans in the Novi Sad Arena, very close to one of the main facilities of the University of Modena Reggio Emilia. We were very happy to have you connected from abroad, but next year we want you to promise that you will come to Modena and look with your own eyes. I'm sure that Marco will find a very good accommodation for all of you, and we're going to repeat this in presence, maybe have a drink or some very good Modena's own food after the meeting. So I want you to promise all before we say goodbye.
Yes, remember that food in Modena is one of the best in the world, so you have to come to Modena.
I think for sure better than in Stuttgart.
1 point for Modena.
I will come also to Stuttgart, probably to Sweden or to San Francisco, Blakey, because I'm interested also in looking to your accelerator. So I will come to visit you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Looking forward.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we will organize a tour. Thank you, George. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Sasha, and have a nice holiday in France. Thank you, Sarah, for being with us, and thank you, Marco, of course. And let's keep going with the program of the Motor Valley Fest in Modena and in Emilia-Romagna. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.